We lived in the trees. Why it looks melted, part 12. So here we've got Divergence video. Abbey's Mountains, melted old buildings. Was Earth reset with lightning power. So I'm not really following the lightning power situation. So, like I said, all the trees burning down and all that kind of stuff is the area which I'm looking at and stuff. So we've got this picture, which looks like a burnt out tree stump, or just with like the weathered away remains and stuff like. I say burnt out because the actual tree's missing. So whatever happened, or however it happened, or whatever and stuff. But these are the remains, and whilst it's got a general building look to it, I still see, majority of it looks like tree. Even these lines, you know what I mean? That's, the weight which creates that fault line and stuff like. But also, you've got stuff like this. So you've got like, you see that triangle shape? It's like part of a roof. Which I imagine these other little bits are similar kind of situations and stuff. Other bits that look like buildings, they're not, because they're not big enough. You know what I mean? It looks like, like tiny little bits or whatever and stuff kind of thing like. But in scale to that, it doesn't really match up and stuff like. So I just think they just look like buildingy, structurey kind of pareidolia kind of thing like. Whereas that looks more, genuine. Again, this could be carved out of a tree, or even built out of wood and all these kind of things and stuff like. If it's connected, I imagine it's carved out of a tree and stuff. It's like if this were based a tree, you won't want to go too deep into it. You know what I mean? Because that's part of its structure and stuff. It's like still alive, and you could have some structures on outside which are like going into it and stuff like. But then like on the actual outside of the tree, like I mentioned in a previous video about having structures and decking and all these kind of things, you could have even had like full rooms and houses kind of thing like, which are like all attached to the outside and stuff. So obviously, I mean, there's some evidence of structures and all that kind of stuff like, and you look at other details and it even looks like brickwork, but you can't really tell properly. You know what I mean? I'd have to go there to like confirm a lot of that kind of stuff in that kind of way. But you're not really seeing anything else down there, unless there is. I mean, once again, you'd have to go there, actually see it for yourself up close. How far does that go in, and all those kind of things and stuff like. It's like, some of them do look quite good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that looks like brickwork. But like I said, it's blurry, and you'd have to see it properly and stuff like. But I don't know, the idea of like building on the outside. Like a basic tree and stuff. It's still quite high because you're up in mountains anyway. But so then you got other stuff like this. And this looks a lot better. But it still don't remind me of like the melted idea of things. And see, it's all sandy, all that kind of stuff like. So like the hourglass example, you know what I mean? Every mountainside's got like, all this filter of sand and rubble or whatever and stuff like. And it all falls down and piles on top of each other. You know what I mean? So it's not really a melted example as such. These could be structures which have been buried in the ash, and it's been there that long and stuff like that kind of thing. It's gonna turn into sand itself and stuff like. And you got lots of little parts of it are like it. maybe it were tree and then it's been refurbished. Again, it's a little bit difficult to see and stuff like. Oh, this part, that looks like the fairy houses in Turkey. So if that's where it is, there might be like documentaries on it and stuff. But with the sand, with all the mountains and the idea of them being melted buildings, I said this before, kind of been quite a few times over past few years or whatever, but it would have melted. You know what I mean? The quartz. So any of these buildings, rather than turning into sand, you know what I mean, or quartz and stuff, and all of that would have melted, and it'd become like glass. You know what I mean? So you'd have pools of it, like in the first video, I was showing you pools of wax or ice cream or whatever else we've got and stuff like. But it's not like, you know. Well, we're not seeing that for one thing, and the other thing is the hourglass example. But again, I'd have to see them, and again, there's no sign of melting. Burial and, like, you know, everything just crumbling and all that kind of stuff. You see all that, like, it's underneath. You know what I mean? If that were a cross section, it almost is in a way and stuff like, because all that falls away and stuff. But you got grass on top of it, so it just looks buried, if anything. Maybe that's the case with the fairy houses, as an example. You know, say if they were structures that just got buried in ash, so that's why they're shaped like they are and stuff. And then, you know, the flood, which gave them the mushroom-like roof and stuff. These examples, these patterns, and we looked at them on many examples of this series and stuff kind of thing. They're usually a lot smaller at rocks when I've shown the example and stuff. But so it's like, you know, like that flame burn or whatever and stuff like. So it's like just a big massive burnt out tree, and it's like, you know, the majority of the outside is missing. So it's either burnt away, or because weathering can, I imagine weathering can cause that pattern as well. Like where it rains, water's gone down, it's found its easiest path and stuff. So and also no evidence of building structures and stuff. So like I say, we're lucky to have what we've got in terms of buildings from the past, because like this, it's like if most of the buildings weren't outside and all that's missing, you like loads could be missing from that. It could have been a lot wider, or, you know, or maybe there's something missing and the meltologist would point it out or whatever and stuff. But I'm not saying no windows, doors, all that kind of stuff. It's quite a distance away, isn't it? But it's just a similar pattern to other ones. And this one, I included this one in, I think it was one of my endings videos, really early. And just passing it off as, like, you know, remains of giant trees and stuff. It just happens to look like buildings, you know. And just for the sake of argument, like, because, like, you know, it's all filled in, you know what I mean, and stuff like. So how could, if all the windows and you can't get inside because it's just all full and stuff like that kind of thing, full of rubble or whatever. But with the trees burning down and all the ash which is in the air, imagine like a really bad sandstorm. You know, the worst ever a sandstorm which actually completely fills the entire plane. You know what I mean? The atmosphere of the entire plane. But it's not just sand. It's ash as well, you know what I mean? And dirt and whatever else is up there, whatever can get in powder form and stuff like. Um, and it's just like, you know, the air's just that thick of it, you know what I mean? And with it being a sandstorm or a storm, then once the wind's blowing in directions and all these kind of things, if it blows and it just kind of filled it up, you know what I mean, with all the ash and sand and everything, and that could serve as an answer of why it's filled in and all these kind of things. It's still potentially a giant tree, you know. It's like the pareidolia for that, you know. I mean, it's quite good, you know what I mean, and stuff like. But it's too blurry. You can't get close enough to see you know, whether these actually windows or it's just kind of like how it's fallen away or whatever. But then that it would be ancient, you know what I mean. That'd be built before like the trees were felled. But also, it is very likely to be a tree because you've got all this in the background. You know, is that another city and another city? You know what I mean, and stuff like. Um, Whereas, like the average potentially trees, it's like, you know, that's that blurry, but I can't really give evidence to say it's a melted building, or even, you know, doesn't have to be melted because really I'm not really seeing evidence of melted here either. It just looks like it's fallen to dust in a sense, or in the process of it. Other aspect is, but it's all filled in, so all your windows are filled in and all that kind of stuff. I could have filled in, and then the flood came and helped set it all. And then since then, that's gone away, and then you've had stuff crumble away, and it creates its little hourglass mountain. You know, just for potential, because like truly rule everything out and stuff like. I mean, I'd have to go there, you know what I mean, to find out this. We've covered things like this, and that looks carved out at wood. And no signs of melting, potentially burnt and weathered. This one, this looks like the ash. It will a lot thicker, and then like, you know, it's weathered down and all these kind of things compacted down as it's weathered, and become its own solid mass. Potentially, because otherwise I'm not really sure what it is and stuff like. Maybe it'll pass the vegetation at tree, or, you know, but it seems quite unusual, and it's only a clip in somebody's, well, in Divergence video and stuff like, and I don't know if it tells you where it is and stuff like and everything like, but this is an example of the ash. Like I said, it does look a bit melty, you know what I mean, and stuff like, but so when you got these, it's quite a big tree. You got a couple of big trees there. I mean, they're big compared to normal trees. And you got your big tree here, and then this is like the vein of the tree. Yeah, like your creeper plants, as that goes off to connect to another plant. Next clip. So like here, you've got the creeper line. It connects to that tree. I think it's the same tree. And then you've got it there, and then it looks like it goes that way. I don't know if one goes behind, kind of thing like, but so as it'd grow, you know what I mean? You'd have trees growing all along there, and then it would grow for however long it is until it's far away from that, so it's a decent place enough to grow another tree. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, if you grow another one there, it's just going to starve it, and it won't get all its water, or they'll be fighting each other for it in a sense. So, you know, it knows what it's doing, doesn't it? It's growing, you know, it's gonna, as it kind of consumes the area, it might fight other life and stuff, kind of other plants to, you know, for survival or whatever. Survival of the fittest, I would kind of do that and stuff like. This was mentioned on a stream as being definitely part of a one of the melted building type of things and stuff like. Oh, definitely used to be a building at least. Whether we wrote melted or not. I think it was about Sacred Knowledge that said it. And I showed you a picture of the base of a tree, and it had like a root system coming off it, and it was coming around in a circle, or a semicircle, or a quarter, and that's like a quarter, and it's like 90 degrees around the entire quarter of that circle in a sense and stuff like impossible in nature, I think he said, like. But like I showed you in that previous picture, our previous episode, the root can go around like that. There's no problem with it and stuff. The only problem with this is the rest of the area is so unrecognisable that it's really difficult to show the tree apart from stuff like that. But again, you've got your hourglass pattern of all the dust, sand kind of coming down, weathering up your ears and stuff like. Another example of it there. See, plants can do this. How it curls back up. It's like part of it. It appears to be. You can see kind of thing. Also, I'm not seeing it as a building. No, not at all melted. Although I don't want to completely rule out the melted aspects of things like. So, Sacred Knowledge went on debatism to try and prove his melted building theory and stuff. He's got quite a lot of pictures, and it was difficult to see in detail which, there's so many, you really didn't get a chance to to show it properly, I suppose. It should have been a presentation rather than a debate, and that might have made it better or whatever and stuff like. But stuff like this, you can see that crater, all the ground raised up, and then the centre is like filled in. There's no missing ground. There's no crater. So obviously the giant tree thing, there could be craters in another video as well. I don't know, it's a good picture. There again, you've got another one showing the same thing, how it's raised up and then it's filled in almost at top. There's another one there, but is it stuff like this? I think it's just built into it, renovated, all that type of stuff. The giant trees. Hold on. So one of the things to address is this ballooning, or marshmallowing, or whichever they called it and stuff like. But so you got some red brick here. That can be refurbished. It just can. You can see how you build it up and you'd create it and stuff like. So that can be refurbished. You got some brick in there. That might be to do with how it was rebuilt and stuff like. Then you got some weathering, or potentially even, you see, I don't know if you can see it properly, but some of them are like stuck out. You see shadow underneath it, you know what I mean, and stuff like. It's like slightly grey at top of it, and then underneath it's like more of a purer black, so it's showing its shadow kind of thing, like. Which is an example of whether it's ballooning or whether it were part of how we built it. Sometimes we'd have a brick stuck out, so it will like use as a something to stand on in a sense and stuff, but use as a ledge and stuff like. So when you go over here and you're seeing there's red brick amongst this, and then it seems to be like like outside, and then on top it looks like it's got that type of brick, the stone or whatever and stuff like. So that makes it, a little bit more difficult, because it looks like it's almost like in the same kind of area where it's happening and stuff like. And now it's got brick on top of there. But again, if you're going to refurbish, it'll probably add rooms, or if that's another chimney or whatever and stuff kind of thing, added to it and stuff. But in terms of like ballooning, once it's all this ballooned, wouldn't it just damage all the rest of it? It just knock it all down. Which I have a big problem for it, And I can see like how, it's happened a little bit here, whether that's related to it or not. And then kind of there a little bit as well. But for the most part, it's not really making sense as such, It's even got like a cement in between all them bricks. So if it's ballooned, wouldn't it have destroyed all of it? Is the cement expanded? There's a lot of things to go against with it in a sense and stuff like. There's an example here. It's like it's just cracking in cliffside, and then you got this building, and then everything kind of pouring out. I think it's supposed to be part of melted story, but in terms of buried in ash, that could be how it filled in a sense. Otherwise it's all debris which has fallen through, and stuff like. But it's a lot of debris. It doesn't look like there's enough area for it to come from. So again, in any fireplace or after a fire, you always find things that look melted in there, and also the buried in ash. But in terms of ballooning, I'm not into that idea. It's just part that remains at trees and stuff like. But he did have some pictures which looked quite good. I'm sure there's just that many of them, and some of them that weren't addressed were just like skipped past. So really, I think Sacred Darling should put his pictures up for the sake of argument and stuff like, and people can see it properly or whatever and stuff. Because there might be a case that we've got ancient buildings, which we've got kind of remains of and stuff like, and it's just too hard to discern. Like I say, if it's been buried as well, and then including like ash storms rather than desert storms. I think a combination of everything, like I said, we've been that much muck in air and stuff like, and it would have affected weather. It's an instant change to weather anyway, like the cycle of it and stuff, that kind of thing. Suddenly it's filled with ash, so whatever its temperature or temperate at the time, would cease to be, kind of thing like. Forever, because the trees have gone up, but see, these are all tree type stuff. It's difficult to say anything apart from trees, but there's Acadia Rising, University of Light, sorry, their channel were featuring this one on the one before this one, a couple ago. Can't hold my hand up phone for that long. So again, I'm not seeing melted. I'm just seeing the fronts of things and potentially missing stuff like decking and all these kind of things. Some brickwork here. You can see it supporting that path, so we've built that up. You see tree, and stuff like. So there's no wrong with that. you know what I mean, or main of it and stuff like. This has got a bit of slope because of weathering. Maybe it were burnt a little bit and stuff kind of thing. But for the most part, it just looks like weathering. You know, these parts, I think, oh, weight crushes it, doesn't it? Like I said, fault lines it creates. And you got these buildings. Again, it's buried. But you got your tree ring lines. As you can see what it is and stuff like. And Paul Cook came up with that idea about it being 3D printed and done in layers. It's quite a good idea and stuff like, but I'm still seeing tree. Why it's filled in is more of a mystery. You know, I can't really see around and stuff like that kind of thing. Like, or, you know, to explain why that's happened. Maybe it's caved in. Maybe it was filled in on purpose and stuff like. I imagine that were put in. You know what I mean? Probably an hole's formed like they do. You know what I mean? And they blocked it up, and it used, you know, just to make it sealed, airtight, and back at some point. It may not be in the original, you know what I mean? It might have been afterwards when people lived in it since or whatever and stuff. But again, to say that we lived in the trees, it's a really good example. It's like, you know why I wanted to do this series, because it just reinforces it all even more. See, I'm not really seeing anything melted. See that cement. Oops. You didn't let me pause on that previous picture. Oh no, on it anyway. Again here, I'm not really seeing melting. It's just like wearing down at sandstone, which implies that it were either carved out of wood and then petrified, or they carved it out of stone, of a sandstone. I like all this here, like carving it. You wouldn't really do that to stone. Yeah, if it would, you could do loads of detail. You make it look really pretty, you know what I mean? That attractive and loads of, you know, like it's almost like oriental kind of roofing and stuff like. It might be in Orient. Again, it's not my video, is it? So I don't know where these are from and stuff, but oh, really good though. Carved and bedded. I see alt tree line, and then you got all this carving into it, which says like how old is this then? You know what I mean? Because of it looks like got Jesus picture on cross and stuff kind of thing. It is, you can see it. Leaves. You know what I mean? All these little details and stuff. But more with this here, because you got all, you can see wood structure. I mean, yeah, it could be like that and then carved onto the stone, but it is worth considering that it used to be wood, but before they carved it. It's the door stone as well. And did that used to be wood? And where's the melted stuff? So you can miss it quite easily. That's quite cool, tree. But I'm getting to end now. I've got to like 30 minutes in. So I'll leave it with that. That's cool, how it's built, how it's sunk. There's loads of things to mention and stuff like. I might make a follow-up one and stuff like that, but for the time being, I want to work on my next series, next Origins of Life series. So thank you for watching and keeping up, and I'll catch you all later. Cheers, thank you.